Ready for a deep dive into something truly fascinating? We're going to be tracing the evolution of mass communication from like the very first attempts at sharing meaning, to the digital world we live in now.
It's a pretty incredible story, isn't it?
It is. And you know what's really cool? Our listeners sent in this thought-provoking excerpt from Orb TV about it.
Ah, yes. I'm excited to dig into that.
Me too. And by understanding how we got here, maybe, just maybe, we can get a glimpse of where communication's headed next.
Precisely. The past often holds clues to the future.
So where should we start? Like, what was the very first form of mass communication?
Well, the Orb TV piece makes a really interesting point. They talk about communication even before spoken language existed.
Whoa, really? So like before words, what, like grunts and gestures?
Exactly. It's the age of signs and signals, as they call it.
That's fascinating. It makes you realize how deeply ingrained communication is in us. It's almost primal, you know?
It is. And think about it. We still use some of these ancient forms of communication every single day.
Oh, yeah, totally. Like a stop sign or a thumbs up, we don't even think about it.
Right. A red light makes us stop in our tracks. A smile signals friendliness. A furrowed brow, well, that speaks volumes without a word.
It's amazing how much we convey without even realizing it. But, okay, early humans, they couldn't signal, like, a complex philosophical debate, could they?
Probably not.
So how did they manage to, like, coordinate hunts or pass down knowledge?
It's a puzzle researchers are still trying to piece together. But we can imagine a world where close observation of nature was key.
Oh, I see.
Maybe mimicking animal movements to plan a hunt? Or using the stars to navigate.
Wow. I bet it was a pretty fascinating blend of intuition and experience and like shared understanding.
Absolutely. A lot of nonverbal cues going on there.
I can picture them now, gathered around a fire, using gestures and sounds to tell stories, but then, boom, spoken language.
That was a game changer, wasn't it? A monumental shift.
Huge. I mean, try describing the concept of time or justice using only gestures.
Impossible, right? Speech gave our ancestors the power to express abstract thought, to build complex narratives, and to share knowledge in a way that was simply impossible before.
Yeah. It's no coincidence that with language, we started seeing more sophisticated social structures and stuff, right?
Precisely. Language allowed for complex thought and cooperation, essential for building societies.
It's like they suddenly got a high bandwidth connection. And then the Orb TV piece talks about the link between migration and language development. That was really interesting too.
Yes. As humans migrated and interacted with other groups, languages evolved. They picked up bits and pieces from other cultures. It's fascinating.
Like English is a total mishmash of other languages, isn't it?
It is a blend of Latin, French, Norse, you name it. It's a testament to our interconnected history.
Wow. It makes you realize that even the words we use every day have these incredible journeys behind them.
They really do. Language is constantly changing and evolving, just like us.
Okay, so we've got spoken language.
Yep.
What happens next in this evolution of communication?
Well, that's where we move from the spoken word to the written word, the age of writing.
Okay, so from talking to writing things down, big change there.
Huge. Writing wasn't just about recording speech. It was about capturing knowledge, preserving it.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Think of those ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics or the cuneiform tablets of Mesopotamia. They were storing stories, laws, even scientific observations for future generations.
It's like hitting save on a document, but for the very first time, backing up humanity's hard drive.
Exactly. And the Orb TV piece points out something else too, how the actual writing media played a crucial role in information access.
Like what?
Well, carving something in stone, that's a statement, right? It's meant to last, but it's immobile. But then you get papyrus scrolls. Lighter, easier to transport.
So knowledge could spread more easily.
Exactly. It's like the difference between those massive mainframe computers and today's tablets. Portability changed the game.
But then with that portability, did it change who had access to knowledge?
Absolutely. Literacy became a form of power, often linked to social status and influence.
Interesting. So those who could read and write had a real advantage.
Just like those who controlled the printing presses centuries later. Controlling information has always been linked to power.
That's true. It's a reminder that access to information has always been a key factor in shaping societies.
It shapes what people believe, how they act, the entire course of history.
Okay, so we go from the spoken word to writing. But then things really take off, don't they?
They do. We enter the age of print media. And this is where mass communication truly takes a giant leap forward.
It's all about the printing press, right?
Exactly. Gutenberg's invention in the 15th century changed everything. Suddenly, it was possible to produce books and pamphlets on a large scale.
So was it just the speed that mattered?
Speed was part of it, but also cost. Knowledge became more affordable, more accessible to the average person.
So instead of knowledge being this closely guarded thing, it starts to circulate more freely.
Exactly. Think about the Protestant Reformation. Martin Luther's ideas challenging the Catholic Church wouldn't have spread so quickly without the printing press.
That makes sense. People could read the Bible for themselves, interpret it in their own way.
It was a seismic shift in how information flowed and how power was distributed.
It makes you wonder if those in power were a little freaked out by this, right? Like all this information getting out there.
Oh, undoubtedly. It threatened the established order.
Yeah.
But the world keeps spinning. Technology keeps advancing.
Right. And Orb TV highlights that next big development, electronic media.
Now things really start to accelerate.
Radio, television.
Communication achieves a level of immediacy that was unimaginable before. Events on the other side of the world could be experienced in real time.
Yeah. Crazy to think about.
Think about those iconic images of the moon landing, beamed across the globe. Or consider the Vietnam War. For the first time, the realities of conflict were brought into people's living rooms.
Yeah, I get it. It wasn't just reading about events, it was seeing them unfold right in front of you.
Exactly. It created a shared experience, a sense of collective memory for millions of people.
Wow. I remember watching those big events on TV with my family. It definitely felt like we were part of something bigger.
That's the power of electronic media. It brought us together, created a global village, in a way.
But did it also create new divides? Like, did it drive people further apart in some ways?
That's a complex question.
Yeah.
And one that we'll need to explore further.
Yeah, for sure. Because then things get even more complex, right? I mean, we arrive at the present day, the digital age.
And the pace of change becomes almost dizzying. The internet has shattered all previous limitations on information access.
Right. It's like going from a horse and buggy to a supersonic jet in the blink of an eye.
Yeah. Anyone with a smartphone can publish, broadcast, influence. We've got from knowledge being carefully curated to, well, almost anything goes.
It's amazing, but overwhelming sometimes too, isn't it?
Definitely. We're bombarded with information from all sides. It's hard to know what's true, what's relevant.
Yeah. It's like having access to the world's biggest library, but without a good cataloging system.
That's a great way to put it. And it leads us to the big question. Where do we go from here? What's next in this crazy evolution of mass communication?
Yeah, good question. I mean, what could possibly be more game-changing than the internet?
Well, that's a conversation for part 2 of our deep dive, so stay tuned. Welcome back. Ready to continue exploring this incredible journey of mass communication.
I am. It's already been quite a trip, going from those first signals to today's digital deluge, all in just one episode.
And now, as promised, we're going to peer into the future.
Ooh, the future of communication. That's exciting. But where do we even begin? Like, what comes after the internet?
Well, the Orb TV piece hinted that the future builds on what came before. It's not like we just ditched the printing press once we have the internet,
Right. It's like layers, right?
Yeah.
We still use body language. We still write letters. We're adding to it all.
Exactly. It's like layers of innovation, each expanding the possibilities.
Okay, so what's the next layer? Like, what are some of those hints of the future we're seeing now?
Well, one path is the rise of virtual and augmented reality, VR and AR.
Oh, yeah. Everyone's talking about that stuff.
They blur the lines between physical and digital. They can create these immersive experiences unlike anything we've seen before.
Yeah, like meetings where it feels like we're actually in the same room, even if we're continents apart.
Exactly. But it's not just about convenience. Imagine learning history by, actually walking through ancient Rome.
Whoa, in VR? That's amazing.
Is studying the human body by actually stepping inside a beating heart. The educational potential is huge.
Wow. But will all this virtual stuff, will it make us lose touch with, actual reality?
That's the big question, isn't it? Every new technology has benefits and drawbacks. It all comes down to how we use it.
Right. VR and AR are tools. We decide how they shape our lives.
Exactly. They can enhance our lives or, well, they can disconnect us. It's up to us.
Okay, so VR and AR are changing how we experience information, how we interact. But what about the information itself? How will AI change communication? It's a pretty big deal these days.
Well, AI is already having a massive impact, and it's only going to grow. Think about those chatbots on websites.
Ugh, yeah. Those things are getting so smart. A little creepy sometimes.
Uh-huh. I know what you mean. They could hold conversations, answer questions, even write content.
Wait a minute. Are you saying someday my co-host could be like a super intelligent AI?
Well, it's not impossible, but beyond the obvious stuff, AI is being used in really interesting ways, like behind the scenes to personalize information
Hmm.
or to translate languages instantly, even to fight misinformation.
Oh, wow. That last one is huge. Like, we're drowning in information these days, and it's hard to know what to trust.
Exactly. AI can help us filter through the noise, make communication more efficient, more trustworthy.
That would be incredible.
But there are challenges too. We have to make sure AI is developed ethically, that it's fair and accurate.
Right, right. No robot overlords.
Uh-huh, exactly. So we've got VR, we've got AI. Anything else on the horizon we should be thinking about?
What else could there be?
Well, there's one area that's kind of mind-blowing, the intersection of neuroscience and communication.
Neuroscience, like brains.
Yeah. Scientists are working on brain-computer interfaces.
Hold on. Are you talking about telepathy? Like actually reading minds? Is that even real?
It might sound like science fiction, but there have been some breakthroughs, like researchers using brain implants to help paralyzed people communicate.
No way. Like they can talk using their thoughts.
Well, it's still early days, but they've been able to communicate simple messages and even control prosthetic limbs.
Wow. So someday we could share ideas instantly, just with our thoughts. No words. That's amazing.
It's incredible. But like any powerful tech, there are ethical questions. What about privacy? What if someone could access our thoughts?
Yeah, that's kind of scary.
That's a big responsibility.
Yeah.
We need to figure out how to protect against misuse.
Right. So we've got virtual worlds, intelligent machines, and maybe even telepathy. That's a lot to take in.
It is. But it all comes back to that human need to connect, to share, to understand.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot today. It seems like that's the driving force behind all of this.
It is. From cave paintings to brain-computer interfaces, it's all about bridging those gaps between us.
So even with all this crazy technology, the future of communication is still, like, fundamentally human.
Absolutely. It's a reflection of who we are, of what matters to us.
Wow, that's a powerful thought. But with all this amazing stuff on the horizon, like, how do we even begin to imagine what's next?
Well, that's something we're going to be tackling in the final part of our deep dive, so stick around.
Back again for our final deep dive into the evolution of mass communication. It's been a wild ride, hasn't it?
It has. We've covered a lot of ground, from cave paintings to, well, the possibility of telepathy.
I know. And, through all of this, one thing keeps coming back to me. Like this human need to connect, to share, to understand the world together. It's like the engine driving every innovation, right? From spoken language to the internet and beyond.
It's a great observation. And the OPE TV piece really highlights that too. Like each stage builds on the last. It's not about replacing, it's about adding, expanding the possibilities.
Yeah, like adding instruments to an orchestra. We still use our voices, our bodies, even those ancient signals we talked about to get our meaning across. It's all part of how we connect.
Exactly. And as we look ahead to the future of communication, with all these crazy possibilities, it's important to remember the most profound changes might not even be technological at all.
Wait, what? We've been talking about virtual worlds, AI, even telepathy. What could be more profound than that?
Well, imagine if we approached communication with like a deeper awareness, recognizing the power our words have, not just for ourselves, but for everyone around us.
Oh, interesting. So it's less about the tools and more about the intention behind them.
Exactly. Like, think about those online echo chambers we mentioned. People only see information that agrees with them. That's technology. But it's also a lack of empathy, not wanting to see different perspectives. Maybe the real breakthrough will be a shift in our consciousness, a commitment to listening, to really understanding and building bridges, not walls.
That's a pretty powerful idea. So the future of communication isn't just something that's going to happen to us. It's something we actively shape.
That's right. It's about choices, values, that willingness to connect on a deeper level.
Wow. I like that. Puts the power in our hands, doesn't it?
It does. And if there's one thing I hope you take away from our deep dive today, it's this: the future of communication. It's yours to create. Be mindful of the impact of your words, seek out different perspectives, and use these amazing tools we have to build a more connected world.
That's a great message. It's been an awesome journey exploring all this with you. Thanks for taking us through the evolution of mass communication. It's given me a whole new way of thinking about things.
The pleasure was all mine. And to our listeners, keep exploring, keep questioning, keep connecting. The future's out there waiting to be written.